Hey, Beaker Middle School, and welcome to the December edition of What's New in the Library. December is the month of giving, and so I thought this month we'd talk about books that have to do with giving. I've got some really different ones and some really different kinds of giving, so stay with me. The first one I want to talk about is The Selection. This is actually book one in a romance series, and it's about a girl who's giving away her heart. Except she kind of doesn't want to. So this is kind of like The Bachelor in a way. All of these girls are competing for the heart of the prince, except her name's America, and she doesn't want his heart. She wants the heart of the boy she loves back in her house, in her little small town. But she's forced to compete in this competition against all of these other girls, and she finds out the more she gets to know the prince, maybe he is the one she wants to give her heart to. This is a really good romance series. I've had tons of kids love it. It is young adult, but it's totally worth the read if you're in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade and have your parents' permission. So read a little bit about a girl giving away her heart. This is book one in the Selection series. The next book I'm going to talk about, I just finished, actually, yesterday. This book is called The Hate You Give, which doesn't sound very giving, except it's a really great book. It is a realistic fiction book. It's brand new this year. It just came out not long ago, and it's about a girl growing up in an urban area, and she goes to school outside of her inner city area where she lives. She goes to a suburban school. She gets bused out to a really nice area to go to school, and she's one of the only kids from her rough neighborhood that goes to this almost all-white area to go to school. And because she's black, she's not treated very fairly by some of the white kids who live in that area. This book makes you walk in the shoes of someone that you can't really relate to. I've never lived in an urban area. I've never lived in the inner city, and I don't know what it's like to take a bus 45 minutes outside of town to a suburban area where I don't look like the rest of the people in my school. I don't know what that's like. And reading this book made me understand what it's like to be someone else who lives somewhere else. And it taught me a lot about the way I live and the things I say and how the way I live my life can affect someone else. It's called The Hate You Give because I think a lot of people give off certain feelings and emotions without even realizing they're doing it. And reading this book, honestly, I think made me a better person. So I highly recommend The Hate You Give. The last one we're going to talk about this month is literally, and I'm not lying here, I'm not exaggerating, my favorite book ever. And I've read like thousands of books. It's called The Giver. This is the first book I ever read that I actually liked. And a lot of you know that I didn't even like reading until the 8th grade. I thought books were boring and stupid until I read this book. My mom gave it to me in the 8th grade, and I finished it in one day, and it absolutely changed my life. It's science fiction, and you'll find it in our science fiction section. This is actually the ugly copy. It's really old. We have a newer copy that looks a lot cooler than this. But it's about a boy named Jonas, and he gets chosen by his civilization to be the receiver of memories. This guy right here, he's the giver. And he gives Jonas memories of things like war and love and hate and pain, because no one in their civilization can experience any of those things today. They all live in this perfectly safe place where you get told what job you're going to do and you get told who you're going to marry and you don't feel emotions, and everyone is safe because of that. But Jonah gets to be the one who holds on to the memories. Now the question is that this book makes you think about is, if you're really forced to think about what happens in a real world where everything isn't protected, do you really want to keep living in that safe bubble? This book I've read 4 times in my life. I think maybe even more than that. And every time I've read it, it meant something different to me because it is an incredibly powerful book. I will say they turned it into a movie, but the movie was so awful that I don't recommend you even seeing that movie. Don't watch it. It was awful. Even if it's on Netflix for free, don't watch it. Read the book. It's the first in a series, actually. This is book 1. There are 4 books in the series, but this one is by far my favorite. So I hope one of these books about giving spoke to you this month in the spirit of giving for Christmas. I hope everybody finds something to read, and make sure you take an extra book home with you over Christmas break, because you better be reading while you're not at school. Let's see what some students have been reading this month.
Go. Hi guys, my name's Jada Lance, and I'm an 8th grader, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my favorite book. Backlash is about a girl who's in high school, and she had just made the varsity cheer team, and she's been talking to this boy, but they've never met, and he's telling her that he loves her and wants to spend the rest of his life together. But one day, he messages her and tells her that the world would be a better place without her. And so she overdoses, and you'll find out a lot about who this boy is, and you'll love an action-packed, lovey-dovey, realistic fiction book. Hope you enjoyed. Bye!
Hi, my name is Cheyenne, and I'm going to tell you about Upside Down in the Middle of Nowhere. So it's about this girl and her family during Hurricane Katrina. She's getting ready to have a birthday party and Hurricane Katrina hits. And she is scared and her cousins and her uncle comes over and they come for her birthday party. But when Hurricane Katrina hits, it kind of blows everything out of proportion. And then they try to escape. Read more if you want to find out if they escape or not.
So many new books in this month. This is a high-low series of books, which means that the books are written on a second or third grade level but have information that's really interesting to middle schoolers. This next quick series here is about the DC Comics superheroes. They're actually a set, not a series, so you can read them in any order. This is a new set about the Marvel comic book universe. We also got in the entire Maximum Ride series in graphic novel. These are 3 new books about dogs. We have this new series, which is about different transportation modes throughout history. We have some great new books in sports. We have baseball then and now, football then and now, and a great new book about some famous athletes. These are 2 new books called 30 Seconds. So it's the human body in 30 seconds and space in 30 seconds. They are about those 2 topics in a really quick, easy to read format. We also got in this new Ripley's Believe It or Not book about unbelievable bodies and crazy things people have done with the human body. And who doesn't love a good joke book? We got 6 new joke books in this month, so maybe you can check one out and find a good joke to tell to your friends. And finally, we got in some more great nonfiction. These are 100 facts you should know about, and we've got 4 different topics there. And then we've also got some new books on world cities. So if you're interested in cities around the world and what's happening there, you can check out one of these great 8 new books. And don't forget, if you want to be in an edition of What's New in the Library, you can click on the link right here to fill out the form to be in it. This is also where you go to request a book for me to purchase. Don't forget, those are right there for you guys as a way to get to me when you can't talk to me.